Technology. It's often treated like something that was just fully formed between a garage and a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley. But long before that, Britain was quietly inventing the systems that modern technology still depend on. Not apps, not platforms, actual technologies. Technology isn't the phone in your pocket, it's the system that makes that phone possible. Today, we're looking at five major technological advancements, technologies that still shape the world as we know it. They changed travel, communication, watches, detect, and even help you withdraw money, often without even realizing where they came from. As before, this isn't just about national pride, this is about timelines, names, and inconvenient facts. Sources are listed, graphs are real, and sarcasm is optional. Before jet engines, planes depended on propellers and pistons. They were slower, less efficient, and had an upper speed limit defined purely by physics and patience. The jet engine was invented by Frank Whittle, a British RAF officer who patented his design in 1930 in England. And at the time, his idea was wildly ignored, which is historically how most breakthroughs begin. Whittle's engine first flew in 1941, making Britain the first country to demonstrate practical jet aircraft. Jet engines enabled high altitude flying, dramatically increased speeds and range, and made intercontinental travel economically viable. By 1960, over 90% of commercial air traffic depended on this jet engine. Modern aviation, from holiday travel to supply chains, depend on this technology today. The world shrank because Britain found a faster way to travel by air and made us all more connected. Radar today feels inevitable. We don't even realize how detailed it affects our everyday life. Planes appear on time, weather arrives on schedule, and before radar, this detection was done by eyesight, sound mirrors, and a little bit of optimism. Radar was developed in Britain in the mid 1930s by Robert Watson Watt. His system could detect aircrafts before they were visible by using radio waves that bounced off metal. By 1938, Britain had built the Chain Home Radar Network, the world's first integrated air defense system. Radar allowed Britain to detect incoming aircraft early, allocate fighter planes efficiently, and avoid exhausting those pilots and the fuel. Historians credit radar with the decisive factor of the Battle of Britain. Today, radar underpins safety, maritime navigation, weather forecasting, and air traffic control. Every time a plane lands anywhere in the world safely when there's bad weather, British radar technology is there to thank for that.
It's raining pretty hard. We can wait a couple hours.
Don't worry about that.
And next, something we all enjoy and probably spend too much time watching, television. Before television, mass communication involved newspapers, letters, radio, and interpreting your neighbor's facial expressions. Electronic television was demonstrated in 1926 by John Logie Baird, right here in London. His system transmitted images electronically, not mechanically, not imaginatively, but actually. By 1930, Britain had the first regular televised broadcasts, the first public demonstrations of electronic TVs, and I think no one can argue that television changed everything from politics to advertising to shared national experiences and opening up new forms of visual art to everyone. Television created the modern concept of mass visual culture. Britain invented television, America industrialized it, and now everyone argues about it. And if you're watching this right now, you have this invention to thank for it. People often think the internet is wireless. It isn't. Over 95% of the global traffic on the internet travels through fiber optic cables, laid under streets, laid under oceans. We see them in the news. Sometimes they get snipped by accident under the ocean. That's actually how most internet is connected. Fiber optics were pioneered in the 1960s right here in Britain by Charles K. Cow, working at Standard Telecommunications Laboratories in England. Cow proved that you could send signals through glass and you would actually lose less signal. So you would have a higher quality signal sent through these fiber optic cables. This allowed for long distance communication, high speed data transmissions, and global digital infrastructure. That is how we're connecting here right now. Fiber optics power broadband, streaming, financial markets depend on these fast connections, and even cloud computing uses fiber optics. Without British fiber optics, modern digital life would be slow, unreliable, and deeply irritating. The ATM, as we call it in the States, which there we call it ATM because it stands for automatic teller machine, but here you'll recognize it as the cash machine, something that feels so ingrained in everyday life that it's almost prehistoric. But before it, banking required opening hours, human interaction, queues, and certain days you were allowed to be there. Well, thanks to the cash machine, the ATM was invented by John Shepherd-Barron and installed at Barclays Bank right here in London in 1967. The original PIN code was only 4 numbers because it was considered any more numbers was just not worth the effort. This design change affect and changed global security. Now ATMs allow for automatic banking any time of day, 24/7 at cash access if you need it. You can go to Las Vegas and make a lot of mistakes thanks to that ATM. Today, there are over 3 million ATMs, or cash machines, worldwide. This British invention quietly changed how everyone in the world deals with money. So, what do all these inventions have in common other than the inventions came from right here in Britain? They aren't flashy, they aren't even necessarily branded, they don't announce themselves, but they're an invisible form of infrastructure for everyday modern life. Britain's technological systems aren't about gadgets, it's all about functioning systems. Systems that move people, that transmit communication, that transmit information, transmit money, deter and detect danger, create a shared culture among everyone watching the same TV show. How long have we all talked about that at the end of the day? Did you see last week's episode? It's a shared culture together. And it made daily life and work a little bit easier. So the next time somebody says technology came out of nowhere, remember that it usually came out of Britain several decades earlier and with some paperwork. Which one of these inventions would you say is your favorite to use every day? I think it's easy to say TV for myself, but all of these inventions also enable the fact that I can watch TV, especially with streaming. Let me know in the comments below. And if there's any other categories of inventions you would love me to cover, and I would love to learn. I know a lot of you mentioned in the comments about the video Britain Invented Everything, which I have on my list to watch soon. I'm very excited, and thank you for the wonderful comments. So, yes, leave those comments. Please like and subscribe. Do that little hype thing if you see it. And I'll see you in the next one, like always.